I think it must have been about 1974 or so when Judge Garrity declared the Boston Public Schools segregated and called for the desegregation plan. And I know you worked with Ann Hawley because they had put together Chapter 636, which said that monies could be spent at universities, and I believe at school systems could get money for desegregation programs, but cultural institutions weren't involved in that mix.
Universities and businesses.
Businesses, that's what it was, could run programs. And you and Ann Hawley, I think, were the leaders in getting the getting them to include cultural institutions. And I remember feeling really good about that, thinking that we really should be part of it, and then thinking to myself, but the cultural institutions aren't any more integrated than the schools, and they need diversity training just as much as the teachers in the schools. And so I felt good about it, but a little bit nervous about it. And I know that then the Cultural Education Collaborative was set up really to administer all of those 636 and any suburban and urban pairing programs, as well as the urban pairing programs. And I think we did 636 work for 10 years. I was on the committee with Ann started it, and then Polly, I think it was Polly Rabinowitz then, but Polly Price, and members from several other cultural institutions, and we sat down to establish the criteria for those courses or those activities, and that was very exciting because we came really easily to consensus that one-time field trips had to be off the table, and that kids didn't get to know each other in a one-time field trip, and that everybody had to look at their staffs and try to hire to have more diversity on their staffs and so forth. And so that seemed like a very promising setup. Anyway, I think one thing about the 636 programs that was different at Children's than at other institutions was that many of the museums hired a special staff to work, and it was almost like a separate education department or something that would be their 636 department. And then if they didn't get funded, that group went away. And I kept trying to encourage people to hire within their staff so that as people became more comfortable, and I think it was very good preparation for our moving to the wharf and so forth, because so many of our developers had taught in schools with a high percentage of African American Latino students, and not very many of them had had that experience before, because clearly our audience was primarily from Brookline and Newton, and some, and Jamaica Plain, which at that time was not terribly diverse, at least who was coming to the museum. Once we started doing more with community centers, and the school groups and so forth were more diverse. But I think it helped everybody get a different perspective on who the kids really are in the schools and who we're really working with. So I think it was good, a good way to be part of the desegregation program while it was going on. And clearly it was a rough time in Boston, and I was proud that we didn't just sort of step away from it and watch from the outside, but we got right in the middle of it.